Salamat Hari Raya, Eid Mubarak, a cool and calm Wednesday afternoon on this auspicious day, celebrating blessings and the bounty of the end of Ramadan. Yours truly, Denise Osorio here, and this is PTV News Now. Kicking off our stories this afternoon. Filipinos scattered across the planet who wish to have their voices heard can now pick their choice of the litter of candidates for national and local positions in the midterm polls in May by way of the internet. At least 77 consulates and embassies worldwide will hold their polls online for the May midterms as per the latest statement from the COMELEC. This is unprecedented in the annals of Philippine electoral exercises and proof the poll body has delivered on its word to facilitate and expedite the voting experience of Filipinos overseas. Registration for overseas voting is on up to the 7th of May, and those who successfully enroll will have the luxury to vote using their computers, laptops, tablets, and mobile phones. Meanwhile, the voting period for those abroad or overseas who have successfully registered runs from April 13th to Decision Day on May 12th. Mitzi Silva Ocampo's promotion to Rear Admiral in the ranks of the Philippine Coast Guard came as no surprise. In October 2021, she earned her first star as General, setting precedent as the first woman in the history of the PCG. The magnitude of this new glass ceiling shattering was not lost on Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman, a woman empowerment crusader and PCG Auxiliary Rear Admiral herself. In her congratulatory message to Silva Ocampo earlier today, Commodore Silva Ocampo's resume is formidable to say the least. She finished her undergraduate studies with a bachelor's degree in English and then later her Juris Doctor degree from Digo City in Davao del Sur. The latter meaning she is also an attorney or lawyer. She also finished her master's in World Maritime Law and Policy from the World Maritime University in Sweden. As it stands, Silva Ocampo is the fourth highest officer in the PCG hierarchy after Admiral, Vice Admiral, and the next Rear Admiral. She serves the Philippine Coast Guard as Inspector General of the Internal Affairs Service Office. Pangandaman in her message hailed Silva Ocampo as a shining example of how women can thrive professionally even in a predominantly male work environment. He calls it the most beautiful word in the English language and dictionary. Less than 48 hours from now, U.S. President Donald Trump's 20% tariffs to Canada and Mexico kick in, to include 25% taxes on all automobiles and auto parts exported to the United States. And he's not budging unless government heads of the state or their representatives call him to cut a deal. VOA's Caroline Presutti reports.
Tariffs and counter-tariffs with no end in sight.
No, I'm not going to bend at all.
As of right now, the U.S. places a tariff on metals imported from the European Union. The European Union puts a 50% tariff on U.S. whiskey. U.S. President Donald Trump threatens a 200% tariff on European wine, champagne, and spirits.
We've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore.
The U.S. imposes 25% tariffs on Canadian metals and an April tariff on lumber, dairy products, and cars. Canada levies, then withdraws tariffs on electricity exports, but keeps tariffs on $21 billion worth of American goods.
We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber.
The U.S. puts a tariff on Mexican foods, but exempts certain items included under the North American Free Trade Pact, signed in President Trump's first term. A tariff on cars from Mexico is also rescinded. Mexico says it will respond on Sunday. And for China, 20% tariffs overall.
Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long.
The unpredictability drives U.S. stocks wild. Analysts say if it continues, all governments lose.
They think that if they protect their economy, they're going to increase the productivity and the competitiveness of industries in their own market. And actually what they're doing is putting them at a disadvantage in terms of price and access to global markets.
The U.S. argues economic pain now will yield great results later. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
The tariffs, we've got strategic industries we've got to have. We want to protect the American worker, but a lot of these trade deals haven't been fair.
The administration is sending a signal that it's not business as usual here. It's now more exports and less imports. The next round of tariffs goes into effect April 2nd. Carolyn Presutti, VOA News, the White House.